Hello and welcome back to the latest episode of the Master of None podcast. I am your host Stephen Murphy. I'm joined again by the usuals Westy and Sam for week 5 recap. We're halfway through, boys. Super Rugby Aotearoa.
Oh, why no?
I know,
Can not just go on forever?
Yeah,
we're halfway through it. We have no alternative for once it finishes.
Yeah.
Super Rugby Aotearoa, as it's pronounced.
Oh,
Nobody's actually watching that, are they?
Aotearoa.
I mean, that's right.
No, I'm not.
I watched both games the weekend. Now I think about it, I couldn't even remember it. They're that dull.
we did try. We tried together on a Saturday morning to watch it, and I was just waiting about 65 minutes for Kyle Godwin to come on. First thing he did was make a mistake.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, Forest had a great half of rugby. It's a shame they didn't come out in the second half because that would have been entertaining. But,
Yeah.
But I think as well, all of us were pretty. So we watched the game in Sam's house. After a night out on the town. We were in this house the whole time, but we had several drinks, alcoholic beverages I think is the term, and we were all a bit hungover. Well, I definitely was. I was dying the whole day. I was in a bad way.
Yeah.
But I got up for the second half of the Blues Crusaders game, which was an absolute corker, as they say. So we'll start with that. Crusaders Blues, obviously Crusaders come out on top, but the Blues started really well, and I think they should take a lot of positives from this. They were basically in the game with 4 or 5 minutes to go before Will Jordan kind of crossed over. I wouldn't take too many negatives from it at all. I don't know what do you think, Westy?
I think it was the Richie Mwanga show. Really, like I think
Yeah.
it took Richie Mwanga about 40 minutes to get going, and then the first try was it 2 pump fakes out to the wing and the wing through. The other try for Will Jordan, like, threads a needle of a pass to Will Jordan.
Yeah.
Great finish as well, don't get me wrong. But I think, we were questioning Richie Mwanga a little bit maybe the last few weeks. I think cream rose to the top in that game. He was just brilliant.
Yeah, he was definitely player of the game. But and again, as I said, I thought the Blues were very competitive, but then the Crusaders didn't score until the 27-minute mark. So I don't know. It's just that they seem to be quite a slow starting kind of team. They don't really get into it until the second half. Is that just kind of a habit thing now at this stage, or is it just they're 4 games in? It's the honeymoon period's over kind of thing.
Yeah, I just want to say that I predicted exactly what happened. Just go put that out there.
Yeah,
If you listen back to last week's podcast, we get a few extra listens on that one, so you can wait for me to hear exactly what happened. But yeah, like you said, the Crusaders didn't really get going, but that's exactly what I said would happen, and you two were saying the same thing on Saturday morning. Like, Crusaders don't need to get going. It's not like Mario Kart. You're not getting the little boost from the off, like, to start to try and get ahead. They just want to be in the pack, and then Will Jordan scoring tries, or they just kind of step it up from second to third gear if they need to at the end. Like, the big thing for me was the Blues not that charge down. The Blues could have gone 2 scores clear, and then instead let them right back into it.
Charge down was illegal. They left the line. The attacker players left the line when Terry Black stepped backwards. It's not when he stepped backwards, it's when he starts approaching the ball. You can step back as far as you want before they can leave the line. That's exactly what happened to Ireland against New Zealand in the Aviva a few years ago.
Yeah.
The heartbreaker.
Yeah, exactly the same situation. They didn't get pinged for it. Now, there's question about the scrum beforehand as well, whether the scrum should have gone the other way. But,
we're cancelling the pod after that. You brought up the New Zealand game. We're done.
Well, I mean, it's things that's happened to Blues there.
Yeah, but it wasn't the country of our birth. It's different.
What goes around comes around.
I think with that, you see it a lot now with kickers. There's a lot of fucking rituals before kicking. Like, and I know, like, we've had this since, like, Johnny Wilkinson. Before that, Bigger doing the Macarena, like Richie Mwanga doing his best, like, $6 million man impression. Like,
I love it.
Everyone has it. But if you've got some sort of step backwards, you're unfortunately giving the ref an opportunity to make a mistake like that. If you're moving at all, like, we know from playing rugby, like, and I've never been fast enough to charge one down. I once got near didn't know what to do, so I tried to boot it, and ended up the two of us kicking it at the same time when I was about 15. But usually any movement is just classed as a movement, and everyone just goes. So if you're going to do some sort of backward step as part of your ritual, you run the risk of the ref not, like Wesley's saying, not adhering to the rule properly, because everyone just sees the movement and goes with it.
Yeah.
The ref doesn't have his protractor and a set square out, seeing if it was a backwards in relation to the post or anything. Like, you just see him move, and you've got your eyes on the charging down team and on the kicker. Like, don't give them that option if that's going to be the case. But,
Yeah, I agree. I think
rules are
probably,
rules, Sam. I don't get what you're saying. It rules are rules.
No, well, so
don't break the rules. Don't be a dick.
No, I have to bring this up now because one of our listeners, Lorcan Smith, who both of you know, I was chatting to him today, and he said he had a criticism for us, was the term he used. So they're not rules; they're laws.
Oh, of course, yeah. It's how you determine the laws.
So there, Westy, shove that up your pipe and smoke it. How about that? So, because laws could be interpreted, rules are not. This is what he told me. He's also
what laws could be interpreted. So the law is no stealing. Well, I mean that's under interpretation.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you can. You can be like, well, actually, is it this or is it that? Whereas, although I did counter an argument, I was like, a penalty is worth 3 points. That's a rule. There's no interpretation of that. Yeah. Which he was ignorant and stubborn to, but I was right in that.
No, absolutely.
Laws are laws. So he was giving out that we call them rules. So
Lorcan has a point. And rugby has always gone on laws. One of the reasons why rugby has gone on laws is because it's one of the things we say about the whole time is fucking refs are interpreting them differently, like scrum time. What I'm saying, like, Wes, you were entirely correct in what you're saying. Like, he's broken a law there.
Thank you.
Stepped backwards. But it's such a small movement, and you're giving the ref the chance to make the mistake. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, if you can boot a ball, you can boot a ball by stepping forward first. Like, I'm telling you, there's plenty of second rugby league players that run up and boot the ball without any sort of song and dance made beforehand. Like, I know Dan Bigger is doing the Macarena, and that's a memeable thing.
He's not anymore.
No, he's not, because he can still fucking boot a ball. Like, they were all able to kick the ball. They were all able to connect with it. Like, just hoof it. Like, you watch rugby league and they're hitting it from the halfway line with a 20-step run up. Like,
Sam, would you call it a good nudge?
Good nudge.
Good nudge. Yeah.
It was it was actually a terrible nudge. It didn't.
It was quite a poor nudge. Yeah. True.
Nudge less if one.
I love how much faith they had in that joke. Was like, it was a great nudge, but actually that wasn't.
But yeah, anyway, back to the game. But we should elaborate probably more on Mo'unga, that first try, that skip pass. Out to George Bridge. But then George Bridge's pass back into Mitchell Drummond was also incredible. I was watching the highlights again today, and Mitchell Drummond doesn't even seem to expect it. He's just kind of jogging up, and then like the ball appears in front of him, and he just takes it. He's not like sprinting onto it like that. It was incredible. Again, in this second game as well, I think we will another amazing pass from Jordie Barr. We'll get onto that later on. But Mo'unga, this game, and as you said before, Westy, I was never convinced by him fully. I always knew he was good, but I was like, is he special or is he spectacular? Because you compare him to the Barretts and you compare him to all these greats, but he really is now becoming,
Oh, he's phenomenal. But I don't think like we were saying in the past. I don't think we were saying he wasn't good. I think.
No, you guys said he was shit. I said he was class.
No, my point a few weeks ago was that I think he'd have at the end of his career a far more successful career if he was a Northern Hemisphere eligible player, if he was an English out half or French out half, because he's that brilliant on the ball, he's that commanding. Like, I think New Zealand want an absolute stud, like a Beauden Barrett sort of style, a Dan Carter, and I think Mo'unga is perfectly capable of getting there. I just think that it's hard to say after watching him do that, but I just think at the end of this career of his, it mightn't have had as many caps as if he had been from somewhere in the Northern Hemisphere. He's just going to be competing with like realistic, highlight reel, unbelievably exciting players for his whole career. And obviously he has moments of magic, like that pass you're saying, the skip pass, but it wasn't even just a skip pass. It was the little kind of, it wasn't even a show and go. He didn't show it. It was just he just didn't do the thing everyone thought he was going to. And it killed 2 potential intercepts. And it's just so smart, such smart out half playing, and like you'd love to see him just start regularly for New Zealand, but it's gonna be. I think he will. He will for now, yeah. But like, there's just so many out halves. So I put it up on Twitter a couple of weeks ago. There's about 6 out halves that if they lined up against Ireland, you'd be like, heck, like they're good. Like Sexton's getting a little old now at this stage. Can we see someone else?
Well, yeah, exactly.
Not to harp on the Blues point, not to get too excited, but I genuinely think Terry Black is playing beautiful rugby.
So good.
He's played for the Maori All Blacks already. I don't think he's capped for the All Blacks. But what'll go in Mo'unga's favour is, I mean, Beauden is off to Japan for the next, okay, it's only gone for 8 or 9 months, but like that's 8 or 9 months where the All Black selectors aren't really going to be watching him. Like that's Mwanga's chance to really get the jersey.
But he's a known quantity at this stage. But with Beauden, you don't have to be
Yeah,
watching Beauden.
It's not like his early career. Like
it's as well like it's not the most like it's okay. Like and I don't mean any disrespect because it's coming up, but like it's not the most competitive league in the world. Like let's call a spade here. Like it's not the Premiership. It's not Super Rugby. It's not even the Pro 14.
That hasn't affected New Zealanders in the past. Like plenty have gone for a year, like the sabbatical year you were talking about last year. Like they've gone up for a year. It's almost a kind of little bit of a break for them because I know the Super Rugby is going to change completely now, and we don't know. Like it could just be Super Rugby Aotearoa from now until there is a vaccine. Because if you were New Zealand, would you be arse getting on a plane and going anywhere else? Like, they might just stick with this for a while. But I don't think it'll do his chances any harm. I think so long as he's playing regularly up in Japan and he's keeping his body safe and fit, it could be a complete godsend for him. He could almost be considered like, a less competitive year. Just getting feck out of there like the Hutchins to do. Like, it's not going to be too tough either. Like,
I don't think Hoskins is doing much damage to him in training. I'd say, be like, you go over there, Beauden. You stay over here.
I reckon they're red shirting him in training. So
it definitely. Yeah. But Wes, you're saying the Japanese league isn't too competitive. Is that what you're saying?
No, well, I mean, I'm not saying it's not competitive because it is competitive. But you see, like so, for example, the videos of RG Steinman playing, like walking through lads. Now, look, that's not every minute of every game. And I'm not saying that Beauden's going to come back worse. I'm saying that like the New Zealand selectors won't be. It's not that he's going to lose standing per se. It's that you're giving Mwanga now room to gallop and room to build momentum and be the. Again, he's playing with these lads. Crusaders have what, 7 or 8 All Black starters in their squad. Like he has more exposure to the squad. What are you going to do? What are you going to do this time next year when you've got, for argument's sake, you've got Super Rugby coming up? You're not going to pick someone who hasn't played in your system in a year. Now, look, there might be protocols in place for that, but I'm saying you're giving Mwanga the space to overtake you.
Yeah, but
you're not slowing down. You're just giving him the straight to speed up.
Mwanga's not getting the benefits of playing against Craig Laidlaw regularly, so
I was waiting patiently. That's why I asked, are you confirming the Japanese league? I was like, a certain number 9 from Scotland would like to have an argument with you, but Sam, you bet me.
It's not miles below. It's not, it's not.
I know, but it's not. I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's probably miles below Super Rugby Aotearoa in terms of like standard, but when they were playing Super Rugby up until this year, you're playing in games that if South Africa are touring New Zealand, their third game, by the time they get to the third week of being there, it's fucking meaningless. And then when they go, their fans don't care because it's on at 6 a.m. The Australian teams have been absolutely shocking for a couple of years now and are looking to be continuing in that vein. The Argentinian team, I know, there was a little bit of kind of excitement about it, but they're after being packed in. The Japanese team that were in it, that's unfortunate. They've been packed in. So I think Super Rugby's been such a shit show for the last while that maybe the Japanese league was a smart alternative because you were going and playing a continuous standard. But if Super Rugby Aotearoa continues the way it's going, then you would have to say, the Japanese league will be well below that standard because feckin' hell, we're watching games where like 15 All Blacks are playing against 15 All Blacks. It's ridiculous.
Let's not confuse why Beauden's going to Japan. It's all about money. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. I'm saying do what you want. But he's not going over there to protect himself. He's not going over there to have a consistent level. He's going over there to make money for a year or two so that he can come back and play for less money.
It might not necessarily be something that he was like that was his choice originally. Like I'd say Blues are feeling financial struggle now. They signed him to a big contract before any of this happened.
Yeah.
And the New Zealand Rugby Union probably subsidising a little bit of it, but I'd say Blues are well happy to get rid of him for a year if they could save a bit of money in a year that like there might not be a fucking league for them next year. Like at the way we're going at the moment, they're finishing up this current season, and then who knows what's going to be in store for 2021 for them? Like, are they going to wait until Australia are ready? Are they going to do Super Rugby Aotearoa again? Like, so they might as well get rid of him for a year. Save a bit of cash. He'll earn a bit of cash. It's win-win for everyone.
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Credit where credit is due. Japan are one of the few countries that actually have a positive plan for their league over the next 3 years. Like everybody else has little to no idea what's happening in 6 months.
Pro 14 is so all over the place. We're going into preseason and not knowing how many teams are going to be into the league in the league. Like it's ridiculous.
yeah, some people don't like to plan too far ahead. Some people like to take it day by day. You know,
us in Connacht who regularly schedule preseason matches that get cancelled. Like we had the year after we won it, we had one preseason game that wasn't one of the originally announced preseason games. Like,
yeah, fair enough. But well, yeah, moving on then. In regards to Crusaders and the Blues, I would think Crusaders. I don't think they're miles ahead of Blues. I think I think in the return fixture now when Blues are at home, I think they'll beat Crusaders. I don't think you can start that slow against the Blues at home and kind of hang on. Personally, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Like Sam, how big do you think the gap actually is?
Don't think the gap's big at all. We spoke about it last week, and I said I just felt Crusaders just know how to win, and I think that's going to be the case as well in the return fixture. I don't know when is that now? How many games do they have between now and then? I haven't looked at the long term.
I think it's just the same fixtures again, basically.
Yeah, 4 more games.
Okay, yeah, but is it in the same order? Like,
same order. Yeah, same order.
So
the last game will be Blues Crusaders.
Oh, unbelievable! But I think like Crusaders have the ability to win it, going at their own pace. And like I said last week, and I stand by this. I think Blues have the capacity to win it if they have their if they play their game and they play it to the best of their ability. Whereas, like, I think, Crusaders Blues have to play, get that crowd emotion going. They have to play at their top level. They all have to be on it that day. Whereas I think Crusaders, I actually think it's weird. Like Crusaders, I think they don't, but I think they can carry passengers because they're that stacked that they're able to just go through the motions and then stick Will Jordan on for 10 minutes at the end and bang it out. Like, Sever Reese was quiet, like, in games, and then they swap him out and it's try time. Or he doesn't start and they swap him in and it's try time. They have the ability to do that. So, Blues, I think, really need to actually get 2 scores up and start really piling on the pressure. I don't think it's that far away, but I think Crusaders are smarter and better overall, in fairness. And there's a reason why they've won the fucking league 10 times. They've won it 3 years in a row. Like, they have that ability to just know how to win as well.
Yeah. What about you, Westy?
I think the real killer here, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Blues got anything from that game. I think they got a losing bonus point or anything.
No, they didn't. No.
Yeah, so I think it's a 6-point gap. I think that could be the difference because I can definitely see Blues beating Crusaders in Auckland, but I find it difficult to see them winning by scoring 4 tries and winning by more than 7.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
That's where it comes down to for me. I think Crusaders have put themselves in a perfect position now to see out the season.
Oh yeah,
yeah, definitely.
Winning's a habit as well. It's worth mentioning. Yeah,
and Crusaders are going into a bye week as well, so pretty perfect for Crusaders at the moment. Blues have the Canes next, Sam, which should be actually an exciting game. You get kind of Beauden versus Jordie. The Canes, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I would have obviously Crusaders top, Blues, Hurricanes, Highlanders, Crusaders second team, Hurricanes second team, and then the Chiefs. I think that's kind of the order I'd have them at the moment.
That is the league table. Looking at it here, you've got.
I think that's pretty clear cut as well. Like the Canes are definitely. Well, from what I've seen the last 2 weeks, I would have them very not far away from the Blues. They've been very exciting. They have. We'll get on to. We'll move on now. The Hurricanes, Highlanders. They have sort of held on these last 2 games, Sam. I don't know. They haven't been finishing very strong.
17-0 with half an hour to go, and then it went 90. But I was the same the week before. The week before was due to that red card.
Yeah, that didn't help, definitely.
Last week, I think what the Canes are doing now is after the bye week, they've come out of it and they've been playing to the best of their ability. They've been playing the way they were pre-COVID. Artie Sevilla's coming back into it. Jordie Barrett coming back was a huge boost for everyone. Ben Lamb started to play well. Cobus I'm going to butcher the name, but Van Wyk used to be a stormer, South African, was on the wing. He made a horrendous mistake early on, but he's been good since. Like, I think he threw the dodgy offload that in one of the early games. But it's
yes.
Yeah, and so it's starting to really come good. Like he was he's Stormers and Sharks he played. So he's been in the league for ages, and it's one of the few non-nationals to be playing at one of these New Zealand teams. So I think sorting the defense was definitely huge. We looked like we were just inviting tries on when we played Crusaders. I'm saying we as if like I was in the middle.
I was gonna say we.
He does this every week. He does this every week.
I do it with every team that I in any way have an interest in. It's just the way I refer to the teams that I support.
Yeah, people do it. Yeah,
it's an understood thing. It's like I don't know why anyone gets a slagging for it.
Because me and Wes.
If you were saying Connacht we or Ireland we, but I mean like.
I think kind of way in Ireland way in Liverpool.
Yeah, that's fine.
Me and Wes were wondering on Saturday morning.
Really?
We were like, when are you going to catch your flight? Because you're playing tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
We were struggling to understand the logistics of it all. But I want to highlight as well here, Super Rugby YouTube channel, whatever. I don't know whoever runs it. Sort your highlight packages out.
Oh, shocking.
This game, the highlight video for this game was 2.5 minutes long, and I went from the kickoff to the 27-minute when TJ Paranara scored his try. Surely something happened in that first 27. Yeah,
did happen.
Yeah,
there was
exactly.
a disallowed try. Probably the most pivotal decision of the game.
Wesley, describe it.
So, I mean, sorry, I don't have a photographic memory, but basically there was...
what do I pay you for?
Islanders broke from, I think, inside their own 22. And there's a debate over whether there was crossing or not. Basically, Aaron Smith scored a fantastic, length of the field try that was called back and disallowed because it was crossing.
Yeah, and that would have changed the game completely because...
Definitely would have.
Yeah, so because there's rumours going around that Aaron Smith's still off to the shops when TJ sent that dummy. So I don't know, maybe we'll get word back if he's returned. But as well, they're going to be straight on the phone to each other after the game. TJ is going to be
TJ's not letting anyone live that down.
Oh, I'd like that.
Your best mate TJ Smurf, eh?
Well, yes, TJ, we're still going to get him on the pod at some stage. But that was a great. In fairness to Aaron Smith, he does that a lot, where he kind of hangs the back of the ruck, but normally he has more people, and he kind of went out to fill a bit of a hole, and TJ spotted it nicely under the post. Beautiful,
massive gap. I think one of the great things about this game was in my opinion, it's the two best fullbacks or the best two scrum halves in the world going against each other.
Yeah, I would agree. Who do you think's better?
After that game, I think TJ.
I'd still give a slight edge to Aaron Smith, I think.
I'd give the starting spot to Aaron Smith because I think TJ Paranara needs to shut the feck up when he's playing.
Have you seen any clips of Aaron Smith?
But TJ Paranara, it goes against him so much, and it will go against him even more so at international level. I fucking love him. I think he's unbelievable.
Do you mean to the refs?
Just in general, yeah. But to the refs especially. He's talking back. He's going to get himself booked. We were talking about it with Sexton when he was made captain. We're like, how can you have that guy coming back? Because one thing refs do probably predetermine that they're going to hate him, but he also does himself no favors. Paranara's the same. He's chatting and mouthy and stuff. And I think if you're playing in a classy team like the way New Zealand are, you don't need that. They're going to beat you on the field. You don't need to get into people's heads that way. So
yeah, I agree.
I think he's probably personally. I think he's a better player, but you don't start him for New Zealand until he sorts that side of his game out.
Well, he's not exactly he's not a spring chicken in regards to he's not fresh on the scene. So I think that's who he is at this stage. But look, what a fantastic selection nightmare to have. Do I start Aaron Smith or TJ Paranara?
Yeah.
We move on to obviously Jordie Barrett. Then kind of comes into his own, lovely line break, and he shoots this incredible pass while going full tilt. How many yards is that? 30 yards? Do you think? 25 yards?
Ridiculous.
To in stride.
Half the width of the pitch, really.
Yeah, it was.
A little bit less.
And as I was watching that, and I don't know what you guys thought, I didn't even see that option. I thought he was just going to try and take your man on.
I don't think many people would see that as an option, Smurf. Is that just you?
I know, but I was referring to earlier on with George Bridges' pass back into Mitchell Drummond and Drummond not expecting it. Again, I don't think Van Wyk, whatever his name is, I don't think he saw it either, because if you look at the highlights, he's casually jogging and then he sees the ball being flung 30 yards and then he starts sprinting, but it hits him in stride. And I stand by this. He should not have scored that try. He should have been put out. That was a poor defensive play by, I can't remember who it was, but, they shouldn't have let him through. It was a good finish, but at the same time, sidelined your friend there all day of the week.
Yeah, that's not a tackle that you make. That's a grab and pull into touch.
100%, yeah.
That's a soak tackle if I ever saw one. Just fall into touch and you have him.
Yeah.
No, it's not as easy as that, but you know what I mean.
But Jordie Barrett, he's really shown up the last 2 weeks. Again, what do we think, Sam, as a Canes member of the squad?
But as a close personal friend of
and the Barrett family. Yeah, the Barrett family.
Worked on the Barrett family farm in Athlone, I hear.
Yeah. How close are we? How close is Jordie right now to Beauden?
I think on form, but I don't think that's been in question. I think everyone knew that Jordie has an extremely high ceiling, the last couple of years, and it's always been a bit of an unfortunate circumstance where he's been competing with Beauden, and Beauden's been playing out of his skin for years. Beauden has been on top of the game, World Player of the Year, that sort of thing. Jordie has always had a lot of kind of, backing. Like the Hurricanes Twitter have forever been, bigging up the return of Jordie after coming back from injury and stuff. So I think if he keeps playing the way he's playing, and Beauden plays the way he's playing, like there's nothing wrong with the way he's been playing, but I haven't been blown out of the water yet by him. I think obviously he is dictating things well, and he's brought a new culture to the Blues, and Blues are playing brilliant with him as part of a system. But Jordie's doing magical stuff the last 2 games, and if he continues that way, you'd have to put him in the conversation. You'd have to be legitimately considered for the position for an All Black start, definitely.
He's still only 23 as well. I mean, he has years of Beauden retired to play rugby. But I think it's funny it's come down to a competition between them both, because again, Jordie's a fullback, but I would have seen him play quite a bit on the wing as well. And of course, I would have always kind of thought of Beauden as a 10.
Yeah,
They've both kind of been pushed into competition.
Yeah. Jordie has a bit eyes for 10, and then even if you talk about them for fullback, Havili was unreal at the weekend. I think he was probably better than Jordie in terms of if you were picking a team of the week, you'd probably have Havili in. It'd be 6 of one, half a dozen the other. But there's just such options. It's crazy.
In fairness to Beauden, I think his team asks differently of him than what the Canes ask of Jordie.
Yeah.
The Blues have Aotearoa Black, they have Cal Clark as well. It's not like a one-man show. I'm not saying the Canes are, but I think Jordie's more important to the Canes than what Beauden would be to the Blues at the moment. Obviously, he's still fantastic and he still sets the tone, but I think it's definitely fascinating to go the next couple of years to see who actually ends up becoming the best player. And they just happen to be brothers, which is just insane when you think about it. And they have the other brother as well. I can't even the name. Scott as well.
There's 2 others, I think, isn't it? There's 5 of them altogether.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. I think there's there's
an older brother who played minor 10, as far as I know, didn't go for it. Then there's a
what a loser!
What an absolute failure!
Disappointment.
And they have a sibling. I was watching the All or Nothing with the All Blacks. They have a sibling with special needs as well, I think.
Yeah, they have a sister.
A sister.
Yeah.
They're the most likable family of all time.
Yeah. That All or Nothing, and he doesn't actually have a crossbar on it, but he has, just going through a farm gate on whatever their land that they live on, 2 posts, and he just practices kicking in the back garden the way we did with a soccer net when we were kids. But he's it's class.
I tweeted the video. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but the kicking game the Blues put up. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's brilliant. The play. So it's Dan Carter, Beauden Barrett, and Rico Ianni, and they're playing basically right out in the 5-meter line. Whoever loses has to make coffee for the winner, basically. But it's just it's hilarious for 2 reasons, because you have 2 of the all-time great 10s in All Black history, if not the 2 best. Then you have Rico Ianni, who's an unbelievable player too, and they're just kind of messing around. But you see in the background the not superstars doing sprints and proper training, and then these lads are over in the corner doing banana kicks and stuff for coffee, and it's just different levels and all that. But it's great video. It'll just put a smile on your face all day, because these are legends of the game. They're just kicking around, having a bit of crack.
I think that's one of the things that's probably fostering a great kind of environment in the Blues, and everything you hear from them is so positive. Even after the loss at the weekend, they have this great kind of we're building, we're getting on a streak. Even I remember I tweet too sometimes, Steve, and I tweeted
was it Russia and Spain, or was it Portugal and Belgium? What were you tweeting about?
Man, the Russian league is heating up. I'm telling you.
How my boy Ensei doing?
Yeah. Ensei top, I think. That's what
massive Ensei guy.
Westy is the Western civilization's second-tier rugby correspondent.
Get paid the big bucks. No, but there was an interview with Jordie Barrett, where he was saying, they're asking, what about playing, or Beauden Barrett was what do you think about playing against Jordie? He's Jordie's not going to start.
yeah.
And even them, they tossing him after Hurricane scored the first try.
Was that in reference to him being injured, or in reference to him being not good enough to start?
I think it was in reference to being injured, but it was before the first game.
It was tongue in cheek, but he knows what he's doing. It's a bit of crack, you know what I mean?
My point is that it seems like they have a great atmosphere of kind of, it's not the kind of learned robotic responses that you get.
Yeah.
It must be nice to be, successful and consistent for the first time in a good few years. That club has been not great for long enough that air of kind of like that standard of winning that that's ingrained in you that they would have had up to the mid 2000s. It's a long time gone. Like, so it must be nice to be in like a nice positive atmosphere, the Blues, where they're getting to somewhere successful. They can see that something successful is going to happen, and it's happening around them. So that's got to be a great feeling. So like that's going to add to it. Like it's all well and good being real positive and stuff, but if you're sitting in Chiefs and Gatland is sitting shitting himself about his job opportunities, and you're the reason why, you're like hashtag Gatland out. Like
I am the reason why he's going to lose his job.
Well, it's reminiscent of kind of, now forgive me, I don't know the ins and outs of the squad in Blues this year, but it's reminiscent of what France have done, and that they've kind of scrapped the old way and gone, look, we're starting this season now from square one. Here's our new squad. And as I said, they're all just really enjoying it. Like, they're all getting used to winning. They're getting used to having a good environment. Yeah, they're going to lose one or two games. It's going to be a banana peel at Scotland. The Crusaders are going to outmuscle you when you're away. But, I mean, it's about how they react now, right? Because Canes are on a bit of a wave, right?
Yeah, there's 4 points between Canes and Blues. Like, that's a win away in this next game. So,
yeah,
dramatic fall, like.
Come on, Artie Sevilla.
Yeah, I know. That's a good point, actually, West. This game is, massive, actually, in the terms of, well, obviously in terms of the standings and all that. But yeah, as you said, like, as getting a culture going.
How do they respond?
Yeah, how do they respond? Obviously, they weren't favourites to beat the Crusaders by any means, but they were competitive and they kept it going up until the last few minutes. But going out now and beating the Canes convincingly now would really set them as the second team in that, division, that league, if you will.
It's pretty easy to see, as you say, as Sam said, it's so close. If they do go out and lose and they drop down to third now with 2 weeks to go or 2 games to go, like that could be the end of them. They could plummet down.
Yeah,
the reaction is really important here.
Bodie jumps off the bandwagon before all the fans, and it just goes to shit.
I'll just highlight a nice Highlander play. The Aaron Smith try with the Ash Dixon kind of off the back of the maul was actually lovely. They really orchestrated it well. They pushed everyone left to try and make it look like they were going to go that way, and then popped it off lovely. Highlanders, like, by no means a bad team, but just lacking, I think, a bit of a je ne sais quoi, as the French would say. What do you think? Like, are they, like, how far off are they getting into the mix of the Blues Hurricanes?
I don't think they're.
Sorry, go on.
Westy, you go.
They're not really quite Blues Hurricanes. But even if you look at the first win against Chiefs, I mean, that was a last-minute drop goal. So, I mean, they weren't really necessarily that convincing throughout the game. I think they have a bit to go. I wouldn't like to play them. It's not at all going to be a walkover. But I think they're just not clinical the way we see from Crusaders at all.
No, Sam.
Yeah, they're strange. Like, they've not been bad at all. Like, from week one, they've been good to watch. The good win at the start with the kind of last minute clutch drop goal and stuff. And then I didn't watch the game at the weekend. I just kind of got the highlights earlier. And like you said, like, the highlights on
a Canes fan didn't watch the game?
I was on holiday.
How could you not watch your team play, Sam?
How can you
devoted?
Westy, how can you watch the game when you're on the field?
You play. That's it.
Play your cat. On the big screen.
Sam.
No, like, so I've been reading. I was just reading the New Zealand Hub reports and the New Zealand Herald reports, and watched the highlights, which were so useless. They give you so little context for what happened. But like, New Zealand Herald have 3 or 4 Highlanders players in their team of the week. Like, they're clearly playing well, and we've seen them right up to now. They've not been anyone's whipping boy. Like, I think that if they get beaten by Chiefs, it's going to open up too much of a gap. But if they beat Chiefs next week, it's Blues are going to lose to Canes, and it'll be quite open in the middle there, like,
I want to point out that I wasn't wholly wrong about this Blues result. I said Dan Carter to come on for the last 10 minutes and win. If that had happened, I maintain Blues would have won.
I just want to remind you, Wesley, that you were wrong, and then you predicted they'd win, and I was right. So
I mean, it's a matter of perspective, really. Like,
no, I won. That's all the perspective you want. These are rules, not laws. Okay, there's no interpretation.
Here we go again.
Yeah.
I misinterpreted the rules.
Yeah,
you can't misinterpret rules. You misinterpret laws.
Yeah.
We've been through this.
God, Westy, read a rugby.
Still don't get it.
Read a rugby book, you idiot. So before I get me to obviously. Oh, sorry. Just to recap the Hurricane Highlanders. Highlanders play Chiefs next week. As we say, I think we all expect. I don't know that. I'm kind of hoping for a Chiefs backlash. They need it, but also it would be kind of funny for the hashtag Gatlin Out movement, because it's a movement now. It's not just a hashtag; it's a movement.
You're a bowel movement. That's
if they just go on a losing streak for the whole thing. So, but we'll see. But yeah, we'll expect them to come through that. But I give you a bit of a task. But before we actually get into that, we just basically, our player of the halfway player of the tournament so far. But before we get into that, I just thought of an interesting question. Where would Leinster, at the peak of their powers, fit into this league?
Like Leinster right now?
Well, yeah, like Leinster of, the last 2-3 years.
They would be just as competitive, if not more so, than Crusaders. Like Leinster, it pains me to say it because I can't stand them, but they are sensationally well resourced, sensationally well stacked in terms of their players. They're coming to a position where a lot of their big name players, like Henshaw, Ringrose, are coming into their maturity. Like they're outside of Sexton, who they can bring in for whatever games they want and leave out, they have 3 other unbelievable out halves. Like they might not have all black standard out halves, but I think that they would be just as competitive. They would walk all over Chiefs, Highlanders, Canes and Blues, and I think
don't you dare say Blues.
No, I disagree. I don't think that. I think the Blues would beat them.
I think they are pretty much the Blues of this league. I think them and Crusaders is the big match that you want to see, but I don't think they're walking through that game. I think if Leinster are travelling to Christchurch to play the Crusaders, then
neutral venue.
I think it'd be between them and Crusaders, definitely at the top of this league by a long shot. Like I think if you put Leinster into this league and Leinster would play Blues twice as well, Crusaders and Leinster would open up a bit of a lead. Like I just think Leinster have 55 second players. They've whatever amount of resources they want. They can sign players like the likes of Cian Kelleher that will do them a job for 4 games a year. Like they're so stacked. They can sign players that were one of the top players of teams that they come from to sit and mine places for their internationals till they come back. They're unbelievable machine. I don't like watching them. I don't support them. I rarely ever would be happy to see them win. I prefer French teams to beat them in Heineken Cup games. Like I'm that bitter about the place that I grew up and watched.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, where were you born?
Yeah, and I went to Donnybrook.
Take that, Smurf.
I genuinely I went to Donnybrook for years and watched games with 200, 300 other people. Like I had season tickets, but since moving to Connacht, I'd like embracing more. My dad was always a Connacht fan, so I always had time for him, and then embrace Connacht more. I've become a diehard Connacht supporter, and I've noticed that the injustices in the rugby in this country, it's unfair. Like that's turned me sour against Leinster. I'm not ever going to I'm never going to say that that's not the case. But
Sam turned against Leinster on a cold November night in the sports ground when we fucking cockeyed them.
I would turn away. I was a season ticket holder a year before that. So.
No, this is back in 2014 or so. I remember we were there and you were in a Leinster jersey, and I remember shaking you and screaming "yes" in your face. And you were like,
Sam takes off the Leinster jersey.
Reveals it.
Yeah,
but getting back to them, they're essentially in European rugby at the moment. They're an unstoppable force. Like Saracens going down was Saracens paying their players whatever they wanted and accumulating dream teams were the only thing really I think that were coming close to Leinster last year.
Saracens had the Chiefs,
basically. A year or two maybe with the likes of Fardy going and a couple of the older heads getting on a bit. Like Sexton at some stage will have to retire, and then you come back to it. But for the moment, I think Leinster are just at the peak of their power, and COVID was an unfortunate timing for them because it looked like they were walking the league again. So
don't forget they only won 3-0 in Zebre back in October.
Yeah, in fairness, it was like a hurricane, wasn't it? A hurricane came through.
It's the worst game of rugby ever.
It was, yeah. Imagine I watched the highlights of that game for the podcast. That was
what were they?
I think I remember it went from the 20-something minute to the 71st minute of the game. It was that quick. It was just like there's nothing to show here.
One of the highlights is a ball boy throwing a pass to Johnny Sexton from the halfway line for a kickoff.
Yeah, best pass of the game. But, I would put them, I would have Crusaders probably, I think, they just have too many superstars, Crusaders. I would have them just slightly, I would have them ahead of Leinster. But I'd love to see Blues and Leinster play. I think that would be crackers. The Canes are still a bit more, we still don't really know with the Canes. Do you know what I mean? They've had 2 good games in a row, but
Canes are a bit Ulster. You know, you never really know. Like they're good enough and they can win.
Chiefs or Connacht?
No.
Because Gatton needs to coach Connacht. We're Highlanders.
That was the only reason.
We genuinely are the Highlanders in this scenario.
Well, there's 4 provinces and 5 Super Rugby teams, so that works conveniently for you.
We could be like a Chiefs Highlanders amalgamation.
Yeah, basically, yeah. I like that.
All the heart of the Chiefs and all the ability of the Highlanders. So.
All of the players, the Highlanders. No. I want Sam Kane too.
That's like the sporting insult of like, oh, great heart. You showed great heart.
I would absolutely love though if like Andy Friend got all the crew of the Friendship on board with wearing tartan feckin' all aboard
the Friendship.
Yeah.
Down to the friend zone for a game this Friday night. But you'd love to see them sporting the lumberjack shirts on the side.
Yeah, that would be pretty sweet. But yeah, I just wanted to put that in there because I think it's quite fascinating to talk about. But back onto our task. So we said we'd pick a player each, kind of halfway star. I'll go first because it's an obvious one. But Will Jordan obviously stands out just because I think he obviously, he was I never really knew about him at all, but he's now become a superstar worldwide of his performances over the first 4 games. A few stats here for you, lads. I know, right? 5 tries so far out of 4 games. Leads the league in clean breaks, defenders beaten, and meters gained. Not bad. Not a bad innings, as they say.
Just going to throw out the possibility of some of that being garbage time points. He's scoring a lot of the try that was the extra try on top of the already won game.
I would say he's finishing the game off strongly. See the way we can turn. See the way you can turn that round. Spin zone.
No, you can't.
He's put his name into the ring with an already stacked All Blacks back line. He's only 22, 23. I think he's 22 maybe.
Played between full back and wing as well.
He can play anywhere. He was benched before this game. Could have taken it badly. Didn't obviously. Come on, scored a try. Still hungry, still dedicated. Hasn't let this minor success. I know it's still only a couple of games, but still working hard. So I would select him for my player. So Sam, we'll go to you next.
Yeah, tossed up between a few players. Definitely in the mix. I had no issue. He's been brilliant. I was looking at potentially we were chatting about Richie Mo'unga, but I just think the player for me that stood out since week 1, and I've just been excited watching him play. I don't think he's put a foot wrong really, and the fact that he's fucking 21 years old, Hoskins Tutu, has just been ridiculous. His ability to hold up ball, he runs past every player. I know I saw a stat earlier today that Ari Sevilla is whatever meters made after the contact, but Hoskins Tutu was second behind him. He's just so good, and he's just going to grow into such a player. But so far, I don't think he's put a foot wrong. Unfortunately, he's probably getting a lot of praise for stuff that Tuipulotu is doing on the pitch. Oh, good work, Hoskins.
or out in the wing with Ioane. What's the Tutu do out in the wing?
But he's been a revelation. I've enjoyed watching him so much, so I'm gonna go with him. But there's so many players in this league. I know. It would have been very easy to see it on the fence.
Yeah, Hoskins as well, future England captain. Westy, you're up next.
I've actually just been trying to look up stats here on my phone to back up my points.
What happened to the master of non-ethos?
I named 3 stats. That was it. I didn't exactly go into it.
I don't have any stats. It's not a hot take, don't worry.
I know.
I think people like Dalton Papaili and Tuipulotu have been great for the Blues. Definitely, if you're talking about people I wasn't expecting to be as good, Aotearoa Black is really up there for me. I think Richie Mo'unga is the standout player of this league. I think he is a joy to watch, and I would be terrified if he was coming to Dublin in the autumn to play against Ireland. I think we say the Crusaders only get going when they need to, and I think a lot of that is driven from Richie Mo'unga.
His ability to turn it on when he wants,
as we said,
but to not only turn it on himself, but to bring the rest of the team with him when he does turn it on. You talk about these players being in support of the run. It's because Mo'unga's brought them forward, brings them onto the ball.
And we didn't even mention in the highlights of the game the kickoff that he gathered himself. That's a massive momentum swinging move. And Blues just scored, didn't they? Blues had just scored.
But he didn't. Yeah. But he didn't just gather it. He runs half the pitch as well. I thought he'd slide in on top of it, and they might have gotten some sort of penalty for someone going in over the top of him or something. But he gets up, spins out of a guy, runs past another. It's fucking ridiculous.
And that's one of those moves that if it doesn't come off, the Blues and then Blues have massive momentum. They just scored. They've the ball back, straight away. But it's one of those moves that he did regather it. They went up the field, totally changes the outlook of the game. And that's, as you say, Wesley, that is him driving the team on, grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck, all the cliches you want, but he, that is what he does.
Yeah.
I like that one. Also, as well, honourable mentions for Caleb Clark, who has really announced himself as well. I like Papa Lee. That's
Sean Wainui. There's been great individual players.
He only playing in centre. Goodhue's been very good. There's just...
quietly going about his business. Goodhue.
Ione moving into the centre, I think, has been brilliant. So I'm maybe not Blues players here. I'm honestly not that deep a follower.
So, but Blues are doing.
They've been the most surprising. So that's kind of what gets it for me.
Yeah, and they've all played to the best of their ability. They've all been very, very good. You can't really argue with any of them. But it's there's just so many good players so far. But I think that the three we've said are the three that were the three I was thinking of. I was definitely thinking of Rich Mo'unga and Will Jordan. You can't look up Super Rugby Aotearoa without seeing an article or a stat about him. He's been a revelation in the league. So you hope he continues. The fact he's played between fullback and wing as well just throws another little grenade into that. Feckin' Barrett, who's going to start 15 for
I know.
It's ridiculous.
I think Jordie's been class in the 2 games he's been in. I think he'd almost take one of the most impressive players.
If Jordie played that way since day one, you wouldn't be able to question it. But he's just not played enough yet. So we see at the end of the season. At the end of the season,
we'll make our maybe a team of the tournament and all that. But we should do as well. We should make an All Blacks team of the lads not on the starting team and just compare, because it's going to be ridiculous.
Does it count if they're out of position?
Sure.
Also, you go with
a whole backline of New Zealand fullbacks.
Yeah, it would be, pretty much. But
you could just go with hookers that have managed to get over 50% fucking line-out conversions to their own players.
That would be slim.
Line-outs in this league are the worst thing I've ever seen.
But it's this is how it works. This is David Beckham with a stupid voice. You can't be perfect. You know what I mean? This is what the All Blacks get. You're just not good at lineouts. Fair enough. You're brilliant at everything else.
It's like Ulster with Cavan. There's everyone's
there's so many crap characters in Ulster. That is a low blow. What a way to end the podcast, Sam. God, that hurts. But on that somber note, we'll be back next week again with week 6. Highlights. I know, Jesus, it's going so quick. Thanks, lads, for joining me again. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at @none_podcast. Also, Instagram and Facebook is Master of None Podcast. And also, you'll see the videos on YouTube. You'll see our pretty faces on YouTube. And this is a YouTube joke. My only fans here. Hey. Audio people won't get that, so check out the YouTube channel and you'll get that joke. All right, thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.
Catch you later.